let me ask you one final question. See, I like reading. Okay, like I've shown you so many books in my shelf. Okay.
Yeah.
See, I like to encourage people to read. So please recommend for me 5 books for my audience. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Can I also briefly describe what I think is important about those books?
Of course.
The first one is maybe one of my favorite books. It's called On the Shortness of Life.
On the Shortness
of Life, yeah.
Interesting.
It was written by Seneca.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's really a commentary on the many ways in which we waste our time. And one of the like we spoke about on this conversation, I think it points out the importance of going for the truth of the matter. Because if you avoid the truth, you end up wasting swaths of time. And truth is a time-saving mechanism.
Yep.
I think that's what I get from that book. Favorite book for sure.
Second, I will look for it.
Oh, read that book, definitely. Second one is The E-Myth Revisited.
E-Myth. Okay.
This is a good book for entrepreneurs, business owners.
Okay.
And specifically because most people work in their business rather than on their business.
Okay.
And again, it's
interesting.
It's a truth-seeking kind of thing. I think that's the thing that a lot of the books that I read kind of is about. Hey, how can you go towards the truth and not the thing that's nice to hear? That's another book. It kind of shows you that, hey, you're not building a business, you're building a job. And this is what it looks like when you're building a business.
Yeah.
The other one is The Will to Change.
The what?
The Will to Change.
Oh, Will to Change. Okay.
I believe Bell Hooks.
I'll find it. I
believe so. And really that book, it talks about patriarchy. And I don't actually agree with a lot of the prescriptions in the book.
Okay.
But the utility of that book for me is something that fundamentally challenges my worldview.
Okay.
And actually
the will to change.
The will to change. And for one, it's weird, it makes you consider yourself as a victim, even though you've always seen yourself as someone who has so much control, right? And ultimately, the reason I say I don't agree with a lot of prescriptions is because it's never been useful for me to consider. Like, I don't think it's a productive
thing to see yourself as a victim. Yeah, me too. Me too.
Productive for myself. But it's interesting to allow yourself to go in there and have your brain like scrambled in that way. And I think I've never had a book do that to me. A lot of the times I've read books, it's like, okay, it shifts my opinion slightly, but it doesn't catapult me into another dimension.
Okay.
And then one that's very important to me is a book called Daily Rituals.
Daily Ritual, okay.
Daily Rituals. And it's actually a book that briefly summarizes the daily rituals of famous artists, writers, politicians in the past. And the reason this is important to me is I've always seen myself as a bit of an outcast. Like, if you were to shadow me for a day, a lot of the things I do are very strange and specific.
Wow.
So that book, I've got to peer into the lives of other famous artists, etc., and see that they do outrageous stuff. So it really normalizes. I used to think, I'm weird, how am I measuring my sleep? And I have a journal that, like, all of these things, or like every time I have a conversation, I say, what did I learn from that? How could it, like, all of these measurements and data things. And then it's just a book that shows how people have that same thing in a whole bunch of different ways.
Yeah.
So like, okay, I'm allowed to like do all of these weird, quirky things.
Yeah.
And then one that I'm actually reading it right now. It's called Banker to the Poor.
Banker to the Poor.
I think it's Muhammad Yunus, and it talks about the rise of microloans.
Okay.
And how it's been impactful in the continent like Africa, Asia, Latin America, etc.
Interesting.
And I've only just started reading it, so I'll have to let you know what I think and what I take later. But it's supposed to be a very interesting book.
Good. Thank you for that.